unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
This week in gaming with Naomi Kyle.
Hello, and hope everyone had a wonderful holiday weekend. I'm Naomi Kyle, and welcome back to This Week in Gaming. This week, we're catching up on censorship on Steam, Sony sues Tencent, the latest Nintendo Direct, and the Switch's updated price tag. It's not what you think. We've got all of this week's gaming news, so let's get started. Nintendo, sneaky as they are, announced a new Nintendo Direct just a day before it went live on the morning of July 31st. This Nintendo Direct was a partner showcase, meaning that there were no first-party games revealed, just games from third-party developers like Square Enix, Capcom, and a handful of others. The Direct was 27 minutes long and featured about 25 games in total. Here are just a few of the highlights. The third installment of the Monster Hunter Stories series, Monster Hunter Stories 3: Twisted Reflection, was revealed, introducing a more mature art style than its predecessors. Monster Hunter Stories 3 launches on the Switch 2 next year. Gameplay for the Warriors and Zelda crossover Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment was shown off. The game's plot is canonically accurate to the Tears of the Kingdom story that Hyrule Warriors borrows from, and it will release exclusively on the Switch 2 this holiday season. A brand new cozy game called Chillin' by the Fire shadow dropped for the Nintendo Switch 2. The game's main objective? To chill at a campfire by yourself or with friends while you chat and work together to keep the fire from going out. 16 years after its debut, Plants vs. Zombies is getting a new coat of paint in the remake Plants vs. Zombies Replanted, coming to Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 on October 23rd. My personal highlight of the Direct was a new game from the developers of Unraveled called Hella. In Hella, you play as a brave little mouse exploring the Scandinavian countryside with your trusty froggy backpack. Need I say more? Hella launches on Nintendo Switch 2 in 2026. At the very end of the showcase, they revealed two exciting new RPGs from developer Square Enix that are coming to Switch consoles. First, The Adventures of Elliot the Millennium Tales, which is an action JRPG with an HD 2D visual style, impressive traversal mechanics, and a demo available for download on Switch 2 consoles. And to round out the show, Octopath Traveler 0, a prequel to the first Octopath title, was shown off. The game looks very promising, embracing traditional turn-based tactics and delivering on the HD 2D style that the series is so well known for. Octopath Traveler 0 will launch on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 on December 4th, 2025. Sony is suing Tencent for their next game, Light of Motoram, which is very clearly a blatant copy of PlayStation's Horizon series. Interestingly enough, the Light of Motoram isn't just a copy of Horizon. It seems to be the result of a failed pitch by Tencent to make a Horizon mobile game. In the lawsuit, Sony shares documents from a pitch deck made by Tencent titled Expanding the Horizon. Their pitch sought to expand the world of Horizon further to include Asia and introduce Eastern mythology. During the pitch meeting, Sony was unaware that Tencent had already been working on the game, so imagine their shock when Tencent announced Light of Motoram in November of 2024, just mere months after rejecting the pitch back in April. Sony is seeking damages of up to $150,000 for each separate work in the Horizon franchise infringed, and for Tencent to relinquish all products related to Light of Motoram so it can be destroyed. The online storefronts Steam and itch.io have made claims that Visa and MasterCard are blocking purchases of adult video games. Gamers using these platforms are concerned that in blocking the purchase of adult games, MasterCard and Visa are asserting what games are and aren't appropriate to play in a kind of financial censorship. Many fear that if left unchallenged, blocking purchases based on content may result in censorship that goes beyond adult games in the future. In the days since the claim, MasterCard has released a statement saying, MasterCard has not evaluated any game or required restrictions of any activity on game creator sites and platforms, contrary to media reports and allegations. We require merchants to have appropriate controls to ensure MasterCards cannot be used for unlawful purchases, including illegal adult content. According to Valve, owner of the Steam marketplace, MasterCard did not communicate any of this to them directly, opting instead to communicate these restrictions to payment processors to pass on to Valve. This whole ordeal began when the not-for-profit organization Collective Shout reached out to Steam to pull games that featured explicit adult content and violence against women. After receiving no response, they turned their attention to payment processors, encouraging them to block the purchase of these games. Stay tuned when I go in depth on this topic later in the show with my guest, Kahlief Adams. Typically, the price of a good decreases after it's been on the market for a while. Unfortunately for consumers, we're experiencing an atypical time in the market, resulting in increased prices for goods that have been on the market for years. The latest price hike comes from Nintendo, who have confirmed that they will be increasing the price of the Nintendo Switch and its games due to changing market conditions, which is a polite way of saying that prices are increasing due to tariffs in the US. In Canadian prices, the Nintendo Switch is up from $400 to $420. The Switch Lite was $260, now it's $280. The Switch OLED model was $450 and now costs $490. Switch controllers like Joy-Cons and Pro controllers cost $10 more than they used to. And finally, most Nintendo Switch games are expected to be up from $80 to $85. On the bright side, the price of the Nintendo Switch 2 has not increased. But these are weird times we live in, and there is no telling if the Switch 2's $630 price tag will soar to new heights in the future.
Quest complete.
So that's the news for this week. It's now time to chat with our guest. Kahlief Adams joins us to chat about the latest Nintendo Direct, the unprecedented Switch price hikes, and breaking down the MasterCard versus Steam versus censorship controversy.
Select game mode. Multiplayer.
Kahlief, it's been a minute. How you doing?
It's been a minute. I'm happy to see and hear you. Excited to be rocking with you as always.
Yeah, we have some very touchy subjects to touch on, and then we've got some good news, some upbeat, fun Switch stuff.
Yeah.
Nintendo had their Nintendo Direct. I watched the whole thing. I thought, it's third-party stuff. It's not their main bread and butter. But I'm excited to find out what you thought. If there's anything out there that they showcased that you wanted to highlight that you think is worth mentioning. I have my picks, but let's go through what you thought of the show.
Yeah, I think the show is pretty much a standard Nintendo Direct kind of deal. The Katamari game is the one that sparked the most interest for me. I was like, I love Katamari, and getting a chance to see more of that kind of come to new audiences is super cool. So
and it's a revival of that. I hadn't heard that name in a long time, I feel like. I haven't been following it since the first one. It looks like it's playable on the Nintendo Switch original, and it could be playable via backwards compatibility on the Switch 2, but it's not native Switch 2.
Right. It seems like it's a backwards compat title. But yeah, hype for that. I love me some rolling up stuff.
Same.
No doubt.
I also liked... the makers of Unraveled. Are you a fan of that game?
Yes.
Yeah, their game Hella looks super cute with the little mice. That one looked interesting. That one's 2026 coming out, so we don't have an official date. Was there anything you wish you had seen? I think I saw some comments about people talking about Silksong, but that was not at the showcase, sadly.
Everybody and their mother wants Silksong to just drop at this point. We were tired of being teased about Silksong. But Silksong is there. Hyrule Warriors looked really cool as a offshoot of what we can think of those two IPs being together. I think you hit on the one that has the most kind of heat behind it is Hella.
Yeah, it looks interesting, right? I love Unraveled so much. I even have the little Unraveled plushie. So I'm like, yeah, bring on more from that developer, please. I want to honorable mention that for Pac-Man lovers out there, which I'm not like, but I saw the trailer for Pac-Man World 2 Repack. It's coming out September 26th. There's some things to look forward to that are coming out very soon. So it's worth mentioning. EA Sports Madden NFL 26 for people who love sports games. That's August 14th. And then Star Wars Outlaws, which actually I didn't get a good chance to play it on console or on PC, so I'm excited to just play it maybe on the Switch. September 4th is coming out. Borderlands 4, October 3rd is, of course, available for pre-order now. I don't know if I'm going to play that on Switch. Probably will not. I'll probably play it on console. Hello Kitty Island Adventure. There's a DLC for that. Have you been playing Hello Kitty Adventure?
It is not on my backlist.
Okay.
But
it's like Hello Kitty meets Animal Crossing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, the good thing about all of this news is that it's really showing Nintendo having really strong third-party support. Yeah. Which has always been a conversation of them not having strong third-party support. And this is a good showcasing of them doing that work. So shout out to that team for making that happen.
Shout out to that team, yeah. All right, so that was the Nintendo Direct highlight. We touched on some of the things that we got to see during that. But let's cut to games out this week.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.
Games out this week.
Starting on August 5th, Defiance shuffles onto PC. On August 7th, Thousand Deaths and Wildwood Down team up on PC. The House of the Dead 2 remake lurches onto PC and Nintendo Switch. Hidden Memories of the Gardens Between releases on Steam, VR, and MetaQuest, as Gradius Origins rockets onto PS5, PC, Switch, and Xbox Series X and S. And on August 8th, Slackjaw will escape onto PC, and Mafia: The Old Country returns to its roots on PS5, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. The Epic Game Store is offering 2 free games this week, 112 Operator and Road Redemption. Both will be available for download from August 7th until the 14th. PS Plus subscribers can look forward to 3 free games for the month of August: My Hero 1's Justice 2, DayZ, and Lies of P. All of these titles will be free and available to download from August 8th until September 1st.
Quest accepted.
All right, so speaking of Switch, there's this whole thing happening that has never happened. The Switch 2 is safe for now, but the Switch original and a lot of the light versions and all those different versions of the Switch are getting a price hike, very sadly. What are your thoughts on this very unprecedented thing that's happening?
This is wild. I've not seen anything like this in a long time. I don't think ever, to be fair, in my time as a player and a gamer, seeing old hardware get a new refresh with a new price and not new hardware.
Right.
That's wild. I don't know what they're doing. That makes no sense to me at all.
It doesn't make sense to me, and I'm wondering if they did that as opposed to having to price hike the Switch 2.
It could be.
Which would hurt those sales. So they're like, well, let's just price hike what we can and not touch that for now because, they say it's the tariffs and it's unavoidable. Do you think this will eventually hit the Switch too, maybe, if it keeps happening?
I mean, it kind of has to, right? I mean, the weirdest part about that is if you're trying to grow an install base for a new piece of hardware, having people spend more for the old hardware doesn't seem like the way to kind of do that. It's not like you're subsidizing the new thing with the old thing because everybody already had the old thing and they're probably either trading in the old thing or giving it away for somebody else so you can get the newer one. So I don't understand the strategy here. I do foresee that there will be some potential price hikes on the Switch 2. And maybe this is them kind of testing the market to see how mad people will be when that news comes down the pipeline.
I'm not familiar with this, but maybe you are. Is there a similar thing happening with PlayStation, Xbox, anything like that you're seeing? I haven't heard it in the headlines, so I feel like
PlayStation did a price hike on pre-PS5 Pro hardware, I believe. Xbox, I don't remember them doing something similar on hardware. But again, I have to triple check that.
Right.
But this feels really weird, especially because it does feel like they just dropped something new. And having that very new thing come out alongside. Not, we already did an OLED version of it. We didn't do any other kind of hardware upgrades on that. Mm-hmm. So for them to ask for more money for something that is already twice as old and already so what are we doing here? It is very weird. It is extremely weird.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of headlines about that this week. So people are understandably confused and disappointed. It sucks to have to see price hikes, and we're just praying the Switch 2 doesn't get it. But or I'm sure Nintendo is praying more so than us.
They're like, please, America, stop messing this up for us.
Yes, we just launched a new console.
We just launched a new console.
Yeah, why are you making us do this? All right, this is an interesting story. Maybe most folks haven't heard about it, but it is happening in the industry. Visa, MasterCard, they removed some games. They don't let you purchase, actually. That's the main thing that's happening. They're not letting you purchase certain games on Steam, and I think one other platform, certain games that are sexual in nature, definitely not PG-13. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of discussion about, is this blatant censorship? Where's the line if these games are touching on subjects that are just, we don't want to support with our dollar. Mm-hmm. And then, but Visa, MasterCard is making that decision for the customer, right? So first of all, was this surprising to you when you heard about it?
Yeah, it's unprecedented in a lot of different ways. I think we've not seen a credit card company kind of come in as the processor and make media choices for the consumer. Mm-hmm. That's weird in the way that has happened. But it also feels like one of those things where, as a big corporation, your first thing is to mitigate any weirdness that's going to be coming your way.
Right.
So it's like, if you're a business, I kind of understand the ideas and thinking behind it. As a player and as a person who's, not for censorship, it does come out as a kind of kick in the face, because you're like, well, if this is the beginning of the slippery slope, how far does that slippery slope go? Right.
That's right.
And this has happened at least once before when it came to platforms like OnlyFans, right? Like there was a backlash against pornography in that respect. And people kind of rallying and asking the payment processors to say, hey, we don't believe in this thing. Can you please take it down? We're seeing that now with Collective Shout, who's the organization who's come across to kind of raise this issue with the credit card companies, because they supposedly went to Steam initially and said, hey, if you're having games on here that involve, sexual assault and other things like that, we don't think that those things have a place here. Maybe you're the folks who can help to kind of take this down, since Steam doesn't seem like they want to. I think you wind up getting into this interesting space where the discussion around censorship pops up immediately. The ideas of overreach from a corporation then bubble up on the other side of that discussion. And then you have the folks in the middle who get caught into the larger part as creatives, who might be making things that are risque or in those kinds of spaces that are, because of the way that the video game industry does a terrible job of looking at media and giving it good determinations and really auditing that work. You have all of those folks getting caught into this whirlwind and not having actual ways to be able to have a seat at the table and say, well, look, there is some consensual work that's happening in these games. There's also non-consensual work that's happening in these games. We already have ratings for some of those in the AO space, the adults only space. There's goalposts for a lot of these things, but it feels like they've jumped the gun and went to the most kind of harsh version of it without having a lot of those people who are making those games in the room to help guide the conversation, which I think is really important if you're going to do this work properly.
Right.
So now you have this weird conundrum of, we're going to take everything, or at least people feel like they're going to take everything. So it's a hard deal for everyone in the mix. But I think what it does bring up is a conversation of saying, we need more people in the room who are doing various kinds of work to be able to explain that work to people who don't necessarily care. Because we know folks at MasterCard and Visa aren't sitting there going through game listings and going through and saying, oh, well, that's rated R, or that's rated M for mature, and this is rated T. They're not looking at that. They're like, this is a gross practice, potential gross practice. We don't want our names anywhere near it. So that makes sense in that respect, but also it makes it harder for everybody else in the mix.
I agree with you. They should, have this be, it should be a discussed thing. It should be something that we're all looking at. Maybe, in some sort of regulatory body, have this discussion. I know that that's always been something too. Like even when video games since the dawn of time came out, with the violence with GTA, them wanting to ban those sales of those games. So yeah, it's about who makes the decision of the criteria of what we're basing these, restrictions on, or restricting people from consuming this type of content.
Yep.
It's a very interesting story. We'll obviously keep you posted on if there's any developments on it. But another one that's also in the legal kind of controversial realm, Tencent has a game that is, by just personally speaking, it looks exactly like Horizon Zero Dawn. Sony's, they're one of their big franchises. Are you surprised that Sony is suing Tencent at this point? I'm not.
Nope, not even close. I mean, if you just by eye shot looking at the thing, you're like, yeah, that's the same font.
Yeah.
That's the same kind of world building that you're doing. I just don't understand how they thought they were going to get away with it. And,
I know.
Like how? Like how do you figure that out?
I mean, Tencent's a massive company.
That's true.
They do have a lot of money, and both these companies are massive. So they have the legal teams and the resources and the money to fight this together. I'm just wondering if Tencent even stands a chance at this point, though, because it is pretty blatantly a copy of their IP.
There's going to be a lot of lawyer fees. That's what's going to come out of all of this. There's going to be a lot of lawyers and a lot of rooms.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, so this is it's a big story this week. I mean, when that first game trailer came out for Tencent's game, I don't even know what it's called, actually.
I forgot what it was called.
I forgot what it's called.
Yeah. Light of Motorium is the name of the game.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to keep tabs on this. It is pretty. Any other thoughts on this story before we move on?
At least change the font, kids. At least change the font. Do it
more subtly.
Do it like Power World did it. Power World was smart the way that they kind of went about their work, but
that's right.
Again,
it was still original.
It was original.
So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. What have you been playing really quick, Kahlief? Are you playing anything interesting that you can talk about?
Yes. I've been playing Wheel World, which is fantastic. Loving on that game a ton. That game is brilliant. Predecessor is the MOBA of choice right now for me, playing a ton of that. Jumped back into Apex Legends because they had some new modes that they were dropping. And I just came from the Battlefield 6 event. So that was a lot of fun.
I saw a lot of posts about that. That looked exciting.
Ooh, I'm so excited about that. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Battlefield fan. So that was a fun time for sure. So lots of stuff in the mix for sure.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much, Kahlief. Always a pleasure having you on the show. And we'll have you back at some point in the future for sure. No doubt.
I'm down. I'll use a different font too next time I come by.
Amazing. See, you're playing it smart. There you go. Have a good one.
You too.
Kahlief Adams is content creator and host of the Spawn on Me podcast. You can follow him on Twitter at Kahlief Adams.
Flawless victory! Continue!
And that's This Week in Gaming. I'm your host, Naomi Kyle, and I had the best time bringing you all the news this week. Thank you so much for listening, and shout out to co-writer Josh Seaman for crushing it every week. Don't forget to let me know what you're playing and what you think of these stories by tagging me at Naomi Kyle on social. From all of us here at This Week in Gaming, we wish you a fun-filled week, and we'll see you same time, same place. Thanks for listening.
This Week in Gaming is an iHeartRadio Canada podcast. Subscribe to this podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts. Download the iHeartRadio app for more podcasts just like these.